Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hi. So there's a couple of things I want to address first. Is the first thing, please don't think for a second that I am anti-police or anti-government for that matter. I think I know we do need police. It's just that we need a better police than what we have right now, a better police service. We need a police service all around the land that holds itself accountable, holds its members accountable, has decent recruitment practices, doesn't just lower their standards just because they're finding it hard to recruit people. And we need a police service or a police force, depending on what state you're in, but we need a police service that's not afraid to hold its members accountable and hold its members to a higher standard than what they're currently doing. We have a lot of issues. I am not anti-police, but I believe the hierarchy, they really need to have a proper look at themselves and be honest with themselves in the way that they are running police services all around our land at the moment. The commissioners need to be honest. We don't have very, the standard of policing at the moment is just, it's dropped considerably from what it was probably a decade ago, in my opinion. But, and I think that is because we've had a failure in leadership. Anyway, so I just want to address that for a second, and then let's get straight into this article. It seems like to me that maybe every 12 months or so, the union puts out a little memo, puts out a little report, puts something in the paper saying it's their fault, it's the leadership fault. It seems like they're just sending a message to the rank and file just to let them know we're still on your side, we're still here. It's more of a publicity stunt, in my opinion, that the Queensland Police Union president is displaying. It's just a publicity stunt to remind the rank and file, hey, I'm here, I'm on your side, I'm fighting for you. The thing is, I look at him and I think, just my opinion because of my interactions, what I know of him, because of the dealings I've had with him, to me, he's just like a reed blowing in the wind. That's about it. He doesn't, I don't think he particularly stands for anything. Anyway, as he has done for everything lately, blaming everyone else. So he says, the police union boss demands Queensland government action over force leadership crisis. The Queensland Police Union president has unleashed a blistering attack on the force's top brass, saying they have left frontline officers struggling to cope. Like I said, he puts this kind of stuff out every 12 months or so. This is just his way of, staying in the spotlight a little, reminding the rank and file that he's there, that he's on their side. To me, I think this is just a publicity stunt because he is actually in a position where he can affect change. But anyway, Queensland Police Union President Shane Pryor launched a scathing attack on the state's highest ranking police, saying there has been a widespread failure of leadership, direction and planning, while demanding the government does more to help overworked police. Pryor, who weeks ago endorsed the state government's controversial state wages offer, said police service management could no longer hide from the fact its own direction of the organisation was flawed and failing to deliver for Queenslanders. The union president also called on the state government to rename the service to Queensland Police. Because that's going to help, Shane. That's big help right there. They will spend millions and millions to rename it to take off service, and it's not going to change a single stinking thing. And direct the commissioner not to divert detectives from major cases to fulfill targets and quotas for senior managers. Now, I'm not saying none of this is right, is what I'm saying. All I'm saying is this is just him, publicity for himself, that's all. In a letter obtained by the Courier Mail, Pryor said the thin blue line of fraying, not due to the men and women who wore the uniform, but because of a decade of betrayal by senior officers. Okay, here. He is part of the decade of betrayal. I'm sorry, I'm going to harp on this a little bit more. Back in, was it 2021? When I first got stood down for not getting the jab. You get the letter. Now, just to give you a little bit of a backstory. 2015, I went over from normal Queensland Police Service general duties, and I joined. So surveillance, I got accepted, passed some courses, all this kind of stuff, and went into the surveillance unit. The Crime and Corruption Commission asked me if I was interested in joining them. So, therefore, I went and joined the Crime and Corruption Commission. I was seconded to them. It was 2015. So, because of the nature of that role, I literally just didn't have much to do with Queensland Police Service in general. I had nothing to do with other police that I used to interact with. I didn't go out and was kind of cut off from the rest of the world. You don't go and check your emails. You don't go and do this because everything's triple C related. And you're siloed off. You're working out of completely different area. You don't go and visit police stations. Have nothing to do with police in general. So when it came to the mandate, getting this letter saying, hey, you've got to get this needle, I felt like, mate, I've been stabbed in the back by the commissioner, Katarina, at the time, thinking that the Queensland Police Union, why aren't they fighting for this? I had no idea. Because I'd been siloed off and I hadn't taken any notice of what was going on with the Queensland Police Service, I had no idea. I didn't realise until someone pointed out, well, the Queensland Police Union had already done a deal with the service that they would support the mandates. So when I'd been sitting there with Shane Pryor next to me in the interview and the other senior constables from the ethics unit were asking me these questions, treating me like a stupid criminal who who couldn't make a decision for himself. I'd just been brainwashed by far-right media, apparently. I couldn't read things for myself. He's sitting there pretending to be on my side, advising me. In the end, he was giving me the wrong advice, or just advice that would fulfill his agenda, I think, in my opinion. This is just interaction between him and I. I didn't realise that he'd actually already made the deal. Someone else has pointed out, well, the union already made the deal, Jay. They'd already made the deal, said they would support the mandate. So when he says that because of a decade of betrayal, Shane flipping Pryor, you are part of that decade of betrayal, and I know that because you sat there right next to me. Little snot. The senior ranks have forgotten what it's like to be on the front line. So have you, buddy. So have you. Or they spent so much time shuffling paper they don't know what's required to be done by first responders in 2025, Price says. The police service annual report reinforces there's a widespread failure of leadership, direction and planning in the executive circle. Okay, I agree with him. I agree with all these things that he's saying. Most of those sitting at the table are more focused on their own career ambitions. Oh, pot, meat, kettle. More focused on their own career ambitions than core policing and the well-being of first responders. The Working for Queensland results indicated 33% of police who have resigned from the QPS had done so primarily due to their belief the senior leadership was of poor quality. I'll tell you why I resigned from the QPS is because you told me that would probably be the best thing to do because they would leave the mandate hanging over my head even though they'd overturned it. He said, no, they'll just use it against you, Jay. You're probably better off just resigning. Oh, he makes me angry, this fella. Even the police commissioner is in the same survey, didn't argue with the sentiments. His response to the data was honest. Our employees do not have confidence in me and my cohort. They need better systems, better resources, more support. That comes back on me. Mr. Pryor said nothing had been done to improve systems and resources despite officers answering an extra 66,000 calls for service this year. He said instead the service last week announced another organisational restructure. His criticism of leadership comes just weeks after Commissioner Steve Golchowski returned to his role after a remarkable recovery from stage 4 cancer. Price said police were doing work of other government departments. Same old excuse that he's giving. We're doing everyone else's work. Yeah, that's been going on for decades, Shane. Decades. You shafted a lot of good police during the mandate time period, and then you've lowered the standard. You helped lowering of the standards for current recruitment. You're recruiting the wrong type of people. You pushed out all the other people. Okay, you've made a bad name for Queensland Police Service, so there's no longer a desirable work environment, as a desirable career choice for people to go along to. Calm down, Jay. It's all good. Okay. Price said police are doing here. Also a finding in the 100-day review of the service, which included transporting mental health patients, and babysitting corrective service prisoners and youth offenders in watch houses. Seriously, okay. Seriously, I don't know because I wasn't actually general duties in police in, yeah, policing in general duties in Brisbane. All the regional areas, you did this stuff. So maybe it's just a Brisbane thing when they never had to, where they never had to look after corrective service prisoners. Maybe it's just them or transporting mental health patients. So what, Brisbane? Because Brisbane tend to only worry about Brisbane. That was my experience. But in the regional areas, you had to do this stuff. You had to do it. 20 years ago, you were doing it. So, but it's why we've become known as a police service, Price said. Well, not really. You're a police service because you don't want to be a force, because we're out there supposed to be serving the community. That's why, Prior. The whole thing is we're servicing the community. We're creating, providing a service for the community policing, because we don't want to be known, we shouldn't be known as just a force to come down heavy handed. You need to be a force at times, but you need to be there to serve the community and keep the community on side. Mind blown if you'd ever thought of that. A police service spokesman said the annual report showed the service was delivering frontline and specialist policing with crime-targeted surge policing, co-response models with partner agencies, and the operations addressing youth crime, domestic and family violence, and road safety. The spokesman said there was a 2% reduction in crime 2024 compared to the previous year. The Commissioner's 100-day review of the service had driven a comprehensive, actionable plan to realign services and prioritise frontline capability with a strong focus on rural and remote Queensland. Oh, rubbish. Rubbish. What a load of rubbish. Like I said, I think Shane Pryor's just putting this out there because he's just doing his usual little publicity stunt. Want to say, hey, to the rank and file, look, here I am, I'm on your side. But he's just like a reed blowing in the wind, constantly changes his mind depending on where he sees the favourable winds going. That's the way he's rolling. That's about all. In my dealings with him, what I came to learn, my personal experience was that he is not someone who can be trusted. Okay, just in my experience with him. If you've had a different experience with him, good on you. Hold tight. But my experience was that he's not someone who you can trust. You can't trust his word. You can't trust what he is doing. You can't rely on him. That's my personal experience. Okay, that's all it is. I'm not saying that he's not a nice bloke outside of the job. I'm just saying. I sat there in an interview thinking he had my back, and no, he did not. Did not. So I believe he just puts these reports out there just to stay in the spotlight for the rank and file, get everyone on side thinking that he's out there working hard for him. He could be affecting change if he really pushed. If he really pushed, he should be out there affecting change, not just writing about it in the paper. There's other things that he could be and should be doing. Okay, but yet he wasted all that time and money trying to push through legislation for some reason instead of just attacking the leadership. Go out there and actually do something. Actually do something and lead by example. That's what you should be doing. We all know. We all know, and I do agree with you on what you're saying needs to change. We all know it needs to change. Okay. But instead of just whinging and complaining about it with you, you could actually be out there doing something, making an example of what needs to change and how to change. That's what you should be doing, Shane Pryor. It's just my opinion. I would be out there affecting change, more change, if I could, if actually was still in the police service and you hadn't, forced me out because of your stupid mandate. But no, now all I can do is sit back and comment. My name's Jay Fallon. Let me know what you think. You reckon our leadership needs to change? I think Golshewski knows it. Golshewski knows it. He knows that there's problems. He's not a silly man. He knows that there's huge problems. He knows that they need to make drastic changes. Drastic changes. Unfortunately, I just don't think he's the man to do it. But we need to change. The kind of changes we need are not just, they're actually changes that need to come down through government as well. So it's a lot bigger than just Shane Price sitting there saying we need changes in the leadership and hierarchy. We need change within our government as well. And we need accountability. We need greater accountability through our leadership, and we need a leadership that is more courageous than it is to actually hold our rank and file accountable and hold themselves accountable and stop just looking after their own careers. That's why we need to stay a service, because we need people who actually want to serve the community, serve the people of Queensland. If you want to work in government, if you want to work for the police, if you want to be a politician, you need to serve Queensland and Queenslanders. Hey, maybe I'm just old-fashioned. My name's Jay Fallon. Let me know what you think. Check out my music. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel a desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's going